Our guest on episode 8 of Let's Talk Hustle is Florida native Shay Dixon, a diverse professional dancer, actor, instructor, and choreographer. He's the director of the LA Hustle Movement and organizer of the LA Hustle Congress, which is a major contributor of reigniting the growth of the global hustle dance community. Shay has become well known throughout the dance industry for his style, exhaustive technique, and charisma on the dance floor. His 20 years of dance training spans from ballet, hip hop, contemporary and theater arts to Latin, ballroom, hustle, salsa, and West Coast swing. Under the leadership of Ralph Ramirez and Billy Fajardo, Shay became an extremely successful competitive and social dancer throughout the country, capturing 8 professional championship titles in hustle and salsa, 3 professional cabaret titles, 10 professional triple threat titles, over 20 pro freestyle hustle competition titles, and the World Hustle Championship title in 2009. He competitively has been undefeated in professional freestyle hustle championship events from all over the country since 2017. In 2012 to 2014, he served as the vice president of the International Hustle Dance Association, helping to establish a competitive syllabus and criteria for hustle dancing throughout the globe. Currently, Shay resides in Los Angeles, pursuing his acting career alongside spearheading the largest hustle dance community in Southern California. He, along with his partner, Serena Cuevas, has been creating structured hustle dancing curriculums and collaborating with other dance events. They both believe this approach will grow the exposure of quality hustle dancing and enlarge the scope of Latin hustle worldwide. Welcome, Shay Dixon. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. Just a quick message before this episode. I had some really crazy audio signal problems, and when you hear the guest, it's going to sound really, really clear, but my speaking is going to come out a little bit on the touchy side here and there, but there is some captioning. So if you have a problem hearing what I'm saying, and there will be circumstances where that actually occurs, please just follow the captions and then you'll hear what I'm saying. I didn't want to get rid of this episode because of the audio problem, so stick with us, and I think that you'll enjoy this really great interview. What do you think was your biggest hurdle in Latin hustle, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, not being from New York.
Really?
That was big. That was big. That was big. And then plus, I wasn't nobody. I was 100%. I was prime nobody. Showed up to IHSC. Who the hell is this kid? What does he think he's doing?
Right.
He's a nobody. You don't know hustle. Where do you dance? Well, nowhere. Dance in the studio. What do you know about hustle?
Again in the N123 studios. This is Mike Bello. And with us today is Shay Dixon. Shay, you are a phenomenal human being. I just want to start off by saying that.
Thanks.
We don't know each other that well and for too long, but my exposure to you has been so pleasurable and so intense, because when I went to your event, in 2022, I was really taken by your eloquence and your articulation and just the way you treated everyone. And my first experience is like, wow, that's awesome. So
cool.
Besides that, your membership in the community is very high. You have a very high standing, in my opinion. So I felt like we needed to speak, and so
awesome.
Here we are.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It sounds like you definitely got my check in the mail, so that's great. It's good. I pay well. I appreciate the compliments, and yeah, it's an honor. I'm looking forward to, any contribution that I can give for dance, for hustle. It's been a dream of mine. It's been my life. It's been my life for over 23, 24 years. So
Wow, wow,
yeah,
that's impressive. Well, let's just start right out the box. I like to do that, hit you with the questions, and we'll go forward. Nothing crazy, nothing like that. Everything I think
yes,
that you can really handle. So the first one I want to say is I know that you have huge dealings with Ralphie Ramirez and Billy Fajardo, and with these two
mm,
powerful Latin hustle mentors, what has been your biggest takeaway?
wow. Ralphie, what was very special is Ralphie took me from a special place. I got into dance. I was a street dancer. So, I was a popping and locking kid, grew up street dancing, party dancing, doing whatever was hot, especially in the 90s, late 80s, 90s, Michael Jackson era, MC Hammer, all of those artists, all of those groups, and the dances that kind of came from them. So when I got into partner dancing, I got into what kind of really pulled me was I went to a club, and when I went to a club, it was like popping and locking was kind of out of style. So it was just kind of like booty dancing. It was like you go up to
Equity.
somebody and you try to dance with them. And it just felt so weird and so odd. Me coming from a pretty strong Christian family, but regardless, it just felt weird. It just was like, this just doesn't feel classy. It just feels very forced. And then you're like trying to go up to some random girl and like, hi, you're cute. Want to dance? And start wiggling. And it's like,
Right,
this is just not vibing with me at all.
right.
So I went to some Latin studio. I remember seeing salsa and I was like, man, this is amazing. And then I saw Dance with Me. And when I saw Dance with Me, that movie Dance with Me, I saw how elegant and how much fun and just the energy of partner dancing. I was like, oh my God, this energy feels very similar to the energy I used to have when I was breakdancing with groups and you put a cardboard, box down and that group and that fun group
Right.
energy. I was getting it from that movie and I was like, I got to learn this. This looks like something that I can do. And when I first walked into a dance studio, I got subjected to a studio that was very similar to like an Arthur Murray style, Fred Astaire.
Right,
So
right.
I was in that for 3 years. I went there to learn salsa. They taught me everything but salsa because they knew it, but they didn't know it. And they
Right,
exposed me to like all of the different styles of ballroom and Latin. And I kind of
right.
started to really fall in love with it because I was never taught to dance. I was taught to watch people and pick up on their moves. That's how. So after being within that atmosphere for 3 years, Ralphie saw me competing. He saw me competing a ballroom event in Florida called First Coast Ballroom Classic. He saw me, and when he saw me, he had just opened up his studio. He had just moved to Jacksonville, or I'm not sure if he had just moved to Jacksonville, but he opened up a huge, incredible studio in Jacksonville called Boleros. And it was the first studio at the time that was open to any type of dancers that want to come in and just social dance without a membership. Everywhere else, you had to have a membership and join their studio or their club. This was open to anyone. And this was like, blasphemy to do something like that in Florida because it was like, how dare somebody open a studio to where anybody can walk in? I mean, makes all the sense, but within the ballroom studio structure, it was kind of intimidating. So I remember seeing the studio. I went in a couple of times, met him and saw him dance, thought he was great. But it wasn't until he talked to me after I competed at this competition he saw. And so when he saw me dance at First Coast Ballroom Classic, he saw something I couldn't see. And he was like, dude, you are so talented. And you're dancing with people that have put you in a box. And I was like, what? And I mean, he just told me how it was. And here it is. I thought I was dancing with like one of the top studios at the time. It was one of the top ballroom and Latin studios based off of what everyone at the studio was saying. And here it is. Rafi's looking at him like, dude, are you kidding me? He's like, these guys, you dance circles around them and they're teaching you? No, 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 no. He's like, they're taking your money. And I was spending a lot of money. So basically he called me out and was like, you are way better than this. And then I kind of took offense to it. I'm like, who are you to tell me that my studio that I'm at was crap, or not crap, but just wasn't the standard. It wasn't what I thought it was. And, I was like, who does this guy think he is? And he didn't even know me, but it speaks on his character. Here he is walking up to some strange black kid dancing. And here I am. I'm like mixing in, like popping and locking moves and my cha-cha. I'm like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And he saw my talent and was able to look and go, you are destined for way more than being this dancer dancing pro-am with some studio that doesn't really know how to train you. That's how I got involved with Ralphie. And then he offered to give me a lesson. Gave me the first lesson, told me how if I would like it. And once I did that, I went to IHSC. The first year was like 2000. God, that was like 2003. And 2003 and 2002, and I went to IHSC because I ran out of money. I couldn't compete in ballroom Latin anymore. The studio took all my money. And a friend, because I was about to give up on dance, a friend paid my way to go and was like, dude, you just gotta go. Because you like salsa a lot. You're gonna like this place. So I go down there mainly for salsa. And I saw hustle in a way I'd never seen it before. I learned hustle. It looked nothing like what they were doing at IHSC. And here I am standing around, just my eyes watching everybody, Artie, Maria, Billy, Louie, Liz, like all of these people on the floor throwing down. I didn't even know what dance it was. I had to ask someone, what is this? And they're like, that's hustle. I was like, no, that's not hustle. That's not hustle. Like I know what I'm talking about, right? Like the studio completely I did not know. This was just how from a country, a suburb, Jacksonville, Florida, of what they knew of hustle. And here I am, I go down to IHSC, I was paid, and then while watching all these characters, Ralphie walks up and literally does this to my jaw. And I was like, he goes, what do you think? I was like, oh my God, this is what I've always wanted to do. Oh my God, this is what I wanted. And Ralphie's like, yeah, and I'm looking at these people that are blowing my mind. He's like, yeah, oh my God. Artie's, he's like one of my best friends. He's like, Maria, I grew up with him. And he goes, you want to meet him? I was like, are you serious? Then I go up and I go meet him and I recognize Maria from the movie Dance With Me. And I'm like, oh, so like my brain's just going kind of crazy right now. Like, wait a second. Like, this is the same. These are the people. And Ralphie's like, I'm trying to tell you, you have no idea how all you got to do is just learn what you really want. I can tell. And I was like, yeah. And that after I left IHSC, I got a chance to meet Artie. I met it was Artie. I met Billy. I didn't meet Beth and Louie that much. It was mainly Maria, Artie, and a few other guys that had saw me. And I wasn't dancing. I was like trying not to dance. I pretty much just watched the whole time because I was blown away. The whole weekend I was blown away. I was scared to dance. These people were so good. In my head, I was like, I can't even dance. I'm just gonna sit here and watch. Yeah. And then from there, Ralphie, I left and I went the next day when I got back from IHSC, I went to the studio and I was like, what? We need to talk. I now see my money's being taken from me. Here I am, and then I'm trying to tell people, I'm trained by this, this place. It was called Kalugi's Dance Club at the time. I was like, hey, I'm trained by this place. And they're like, yeah, it's nice, but these people aren't doing what we do. And it was, and not to shame Kalugi's Dance Club. I mean, I learned what I needed to learn, but they were convincing me that that's what I wanted. And it was not. And then here I am seeing it. And so that was a lot of drama. When I went back, I switched studios and they made it drama. It was like the biggest thing in the world for Shay to be switching studios. Like, who am I? I'm some kid learning to dance, but they made it a big deal. They gave Ralphie a lot of trouble just because I switched a dance studio. And I'm like, what, 21, 22? And so from there, I completely went under Ralphie's, and he taught me everything. Really? And then people from him, he would bring in Artie, he would bring up Billy, he would bring in Maria, he would bring these people in, One of the first things Artie did was said, you need to get in ballet because you're amazing. You need to do ballet and jazz. I never take ballet because you need to jump in ballet and jazz. Sure enough, I sign up, go awesome. Ralphie had a ballet studio running in his studio called Jacksonville Ballet Theater. So they
Wow.
ran their whole theater out of his studio. So at 23 years old, I jumped into my first ballet class. Never took ballet, jumped into it, started falling in love with it. Discipline. And I was like, oh my God, I want to take this. So I was on crack with that. I was just like nonstop. And then learning everything with ballroom, Latin, and then hustle. When it came to hustle, nobody danced like Ralphie in that town, not even close. It was him, and at that time he was with Sherry. They would get on the floor, and people were just mesmerized. And I was like, this is where I need to be. And now all of a sudden, I'm falling in love with this dance called hustle and watching videos. And then only learning in Jacksonville, there is no hustle parties, no hustle, nothing. So I had to learn
Right.
it all from going to an event, watching it, coming back, and then training with Ralphie. And then he would bring people in. And then after a few years, Billy saw me. I was just like, is that the same kid that was doing, oh my God, look at him in ballet. I was getting my double tours. I was knocking out 5 or 6 pirouettes. I was getting really strong. And Billy was like, I got to work with this kid. I got to work with him. Rocky, you got to let me work with it. And then that's when that started. And so now Billy would come up. Every time Billy came up, he would find out what I was doing, when I'm in town. Hey, I'm in town. You need to come in the studio now. What are you doing? I'm about to, he's going to turn around, come to the studio. I'm in town. I'm going to whip that ass. I'm going to show you some stuff.
Right.
And that's what would happen. And then pretty soon from there, I'm just growing and growing. And my dance journey and partner dancing started. And then that's kind of how my ties to Ralphie started and how I got into my ties with Billy. And then from there, they started grooming my career when I got a full day. But it was them, literally, both of those guys. Ralphie, because he was in Jacksonville. Billy wasn't in Jacksonville. He was in South Florida. He was living near Fort Lauderdale at the time. And he would come up, he wasn't coming up like every week, but he would come up like
A couple times a
maybe
month.
every couple, no, not even a couple times a month. Maybe there was times to where it was almost felt like he was coming up every other month. It wasn't a lot of time. But when he would come up, I was with him. We hung out. We did it. We go to get something to eat. We go in the studio, dance. And as soon as we leave the studio, we're somewhere and we're just talking, dance. And as soon as we did that, he's showing me videos of the people that, groomed them and what shaped all of them. And then I'm seeing how Raphie and Billy's connection, they were like brothers. It's like beyond best friends. They were like brothers. And these
Right.
guys were arguing over my career as I'm growing and growing and which direction it should go as my dance progressed and I got stronger and stronger.
Right.
And then from there, I started dancing everything. It was ballet, I jumped in modern, whatever they had at the studio, I was trying to learn.
Was the studio by that time, putting on, let's say, practicas or social?
We did. We had like once a month socials. And then they would have a social. It used to be every weekend and then every other week. But these weren't hustle socials. These were just general variety. Yeah, ballroom and Latin. Everything ballroom and Latin. There were
Nice.
no hustle socials.
Right.
We just
Right.
went to different clubs and danced it. And certain clubs would have like, used to be this place called Dick Swings, right? And they used to called South Street. And it'd be a place where all the dancers would go and just dance to whatever music the DJ was playing.
I
And
see.
they would play hustle there. And then that's kind of where we would go and hustle. But we would go to country clubs to hustle. There was nowhere to dance hustle in Jacksonville. So you had to
Oh, that
create
sounds like we could do hustles to this. Come on, let's go.
Right. Yeah.
Circling back to the question, now that we know all that your beginnings with Billy and
Yeah.
Ralphie, what do you think are the biggest takeaways, or the biggest takeaway, your association with them as them being mentors?
Whew, there's a lot. Billy groomed me to be a champion. That was his thing. Ralphie groomed me on the artistry of being a dancer and a champion.
Wow.
So the technicality and the artistry, there's everything, the control and the technique. The level of technique is extremely high with both of them. Ralphie
Right.
was very artistic around it. Ralphie was everything being seamless and everything being controlled. You can't dance fast unless you can do it perfectly slow. You can do it perfectly slow, then if you make it faster, it's going to be that much better. Footwork, body movement, alignment, everything in terms of the technicality of movement, that was very strongly rooted in me from Ralphie. And then
Wow.
creating that and then taking your giftings from whatever dance background you have and applying that into it. Billy grew me on how to be a champion, how to be a promoter, how to be the level of competitiveness of how to compete at an extremely high level and how to represent at a very high level your craft and your dance artistry and talent and putting choreography together that makes the wow factor very high. And,
Yes.
you know, and then the leadership from Billy is professionalism, business, dancing, always being on top. Billy is a one today to where you talk to him, he's still going to tell you, I'm going to outdance you. You know, so Billy puts this high level of, you know, if you're going to be a badass, you got to dance better than me. You know, and I was
Right.
always the one that's going to be like, okay, well, I'll have to do that. And I'm going to
Yeah.
come back with Billy would show me a combination. I'm going to come back with it and make it better than his combination. He'd be like, oh, shoot. And then he would change it. So that was Billy's aspect, was being at the top of your game and being a champion and having a very high passion for that.
You know, that's extraordinary, especially because you have these two forces coming in different directions with different aspects of your professional dance life. And it couldn't be any better, right? Artistry and professionalism, you know, basically. To be a champion, you have to use the, you
Right.
know, and
Right.
it's just that's an awesome combination, and
Yeah.
that's a real fortunate circumstance to have been in. Wow. You have a blessed life in that regard, I have to say.
Yeah. You know, and then coming from me, I really didn't know what I had until I left Jacksonville. When I left Jacksonville and moved to LA and started working with these other dancers and people and realizing they don't know what I know and
Right.
going, you never taught this? You didn't know about this? You know about this in movement and your ankle and your body weight distribution. And, oh, wow. A lot of us are gifted. We can dance, but a lot of people try to break down what they're doing in their body. That was
Yeah.
something that was very strongly rooted from Ralphie. You have to show people and teach them everything you're doing in your body because things may come naturally to you or won't come naturally to them. You know, so there was that was something I noticed when I got to LA that when I started to go, oh wow, I'm really blessed, I'm really fortunate, really lucky that I had what I had at the time that I had it.
You definitely have a, a package that you could really open up for your constituents or your audience or what have you. And we're gonna touch on that a little bit later too, as far as instruction and things like that. But as an accomplished trained dancer and instructor, what do you feel is the best approach for learning for those that don't have prior?
I think the best approach to learning hustle, and you're saying the best approach to learning that it kind of cut out a little bit. The best approach to
Best
learning hustle.
hustle, especially for those that don't have prior dance training.
Mm. So I think there's a lot of components that go into it. I think one is getting behind a credible source of training that really breaks down body movement. You know, a lot of times we get so into, hey, this is how we do the step, this, and 1, 2, 3. You just step forward, back, you know, whatever step that we're teaching. But a lot of times we don't explain what we're doing through our ankles, what we're doing through our weight distribution, how we're holding our body, how we're doing all of these things that come natural to people that are trained dancers. Trained dancers don't have to be told how to hold up their body, how to use their lats, how to use their core, how to use their center. They don't need to be told that. So I think what's important when teaching is when you're telling people to use things that may not be in their dance vocabulary for them. It's hard to relate to. You know, people know what a core is, you know, or some people, actually, I would say most people don't. They're like, oh, how would you use our core? It's okay. Is it
Right,
my belly? Is it my stomach? You know, what
right,
is it? What is my core? Is it me? You know, what part of me is me? So
right.
it's like, Or your center. We talk about, hey, we use our center. That makes sense to trained dancers. A person who is not a trained dancer, who's just used to working a job 9 to 5, or a person who's done what in regards to whatever walk of life or whatever, job that they carry, because a lot of our time we spend is at work. So
Right.
the most common movements people do are at their work. They're working. So it's hard to use those terms, in my opinion, for those people. So
Yeah.
it's really important to, yeah,
You have to kind of lead them by the hand, basically.
yeah,
Throughout.
and you have to break down, okay, so core, what is your core? Well, what part of my ass? What part of my obliques? Is that my lats as well? What muscles am I engaging and using to do a specific movement? So if we start breaking down what muscles is kind of like the science, the body science of what's happening. What am I doing through my ankle? What part of the foot is hitting the floor? Like we tend to skim over those details. And what happens is a person still learns and they learn quickly, but they're going to go back to that because that's going to become a plateau in their dancing.
Mhm.
So my opinion is building a very proper foundation of body movements, body mechanics, understanding what is it that how do I strike the floor? How do I step onto the floor? What all of those things may seem a lot at the beginning. So you find a way to concise it based on the person you're talking to.
Right.
And that's my big thing.
Well, speaking on this now, this actually was going to be a question I was going to pose later, but this is a perfect place to bring it up. So tell us about your online dance course. I mean, are these things also covered? Is it too much to put it there, or is your fundamentals in it enough to get them started? Like, explain to us what your online course is, because I think you
Yeah.
probably have only hustle course online, I believe. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think yours is the only online hustle course. Tell us more
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. So it's really cool. The ABCs of Hustle, it's actually going to be a long series. We're writing it, creating it. It is basically the first source that we did, the ABCs of Hustle, is all fundamentals. You don't even need a dance partner. It's just exercises to start understanding the muscles you need to use in your body to really understand body movement for hustle.
Right.
So how we strike the floor, how we use the ankle, how do we create Latin action? What does that look like? So there's exercises in there just to groom the body to understand we want to build that motor memory, right? And it's not really a memory of the muscles, it's your brain memory, right? But we want that repeated activity to connect to your brain as this is correct. This
Mhm.
certain repeated activity is correct. So it has the beginning course is all about these very important fundamentals of hustle dancing that goes into any dance that we need for hustle. And it's broken down at a very easy beginner level with diagrams, with virtual graphics, with text. It really makes things simple. And I think it's kind of like it's like why we call it the ABCs of hustle. It's like the first things that you should be learning when before you start building your words and before the words start turning into sentences and before we start adding punctuation, we're saying these are your ABCs for fundamentals. And that's
Right.
what the ABCs of hustle is right now. And then pretty soon we're going to start coming out with a movement vocabulary. And then,
Okay.
dance patterns, combinations, it's going to go into intermediate, it's going to go into advanced. And these are basically based off from all the stuff that my mentors have taught me.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
really cool.
So basically, right now, the online course is mostly the fundamentals, right? And
Correct.
then you have other components added later, or that they
Yeah,
could learn or subscribe to in the future.
yeah,
Was right?
yeah. And it's actually, we start filming, I think our next one's in March. So
Oh,
March, then April, like we're going to have a whole killer lineup coming up for intermediate. Then we have people that just want specific dance moves, which, I get it. Everybody's got to have the
yeah,
dance moves. So we're going to do some that have some dance moves, some simple patterns and different
sure.
approaches so that you just don't look. My thing is I want all hustle dancers to use the important fundamentals that need to be used. We need to have these fundamentals for hustle, or what we call Latin hustle, because we're paying
Right,
homage to the roots of the dance. Now,
right.
in
Mm-hmm.
regards to that, We also don't want everybody looking exactly the same. My opinion is we shouldn't all look exactly the same. You know,
Right.
so the goal for me is how do we make these movements look good on your body? And then how are you able to come up with your own distinct style? Because at the end of the day, we want to be individuals on the floor. When I dance with somebody dances with Mike Bello, oh my God, I love dancing with Mike Bello because this is his style. He's doing hustle, but he's got a style. And his style is what makes him him. So we want to be individuals so that we all don't look like cookie cutters of the same thing, because that's what ballroom kind
Right.
of did with hustle. Everybody looked exactly the same. So that's something that I see that makes salsa so dynamic. How these guys, you see some of these guys that they look the same, and then you start seeing these dancers, they're branching out and they got their style, and it's amazing. And I think that's what everyone wants. We all want to be individuals. We want to look like someone, obviously, but then we want to take
Right.
that and become our own.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll see that even in the other world, their mambo, you could tell, oh yeah, he learned from that person, they learned from this person,
Yeah,
some people emulating them. And there's nothing wrong with emulation. That I totally agree with personal your style. Your style should be you. But you use the elements that you get from, from your instructors, people that you see and things like that. Listen, let's
yeah.
take another tack now. I want to ask you about LAHC. What do
Mm.
you think is the secret to your success with the is the
What do I think has contributed to my success?
yeah? What do you think is the secret to your success
Oh my
with
God.
Congress?
So, the LA Hustle Congress was, when I did it in 2019, it was kind of like an experiment. And I think the secret to the success of LA Hustle Congress is truly being an event that has a high multi-generational impact and a high amount of fun with a balanced level of competition and seriousness. We have so many people that dance hustle that are that don't have a pro partner. Like I would look at an event and I would go, wow, how many people that show up at an event are actually professionals, or how many people that are showing up at an event have a pro to compete with? You got to think most events, they're social events. The competition is great because it helps to give the dance the the prestige it deserves, that this is a true dance. It is recognized just like any other dance. And in all seriousness, we want to preserve the quality of this dance and take it to the next level. So we compete and we bring out these people that work so hard with the dance. But how many of those people are actually showing up at an event? 10%, 5%. So
What
that
percent?
leaves us, with the professionals or
Right.
the people that want to compete with their professionals. If I have 3 or 4 students, that's great. That's great. I come with 3 or 4. All the pros come with their students. How many other people are actually at an event besides the ones that are competing? The majority. The majority of the people that show up at a social event aren't competing.
Right.
They're showing up at the event because they want to dance. They want to do the workshops. They want to make connections. They want to see people they haven't seen in years and dance with somebody they haven't danced with. So when I looked at that at an event, it was like, why do I want to do the same thing everyone is doing? Because I know when I go to an event, before I started competing, I went to dance my butt off. I went to dance. I went to dance in the social room until I could dance till I had blisters on my feet. Get up, jump in some more workshops, meet some people, dance again, and just dance and watch and learn. So I wanted to make sure we catered to those dancers. So LA Hustle Congress, when I was thinking about it, I was like, I want to have competition, but I want to make the competition so these guys that don't compete get a chance to compete in a way that's not so serious and defeating, but in a way to where you compete and you're like, oh my God, I just ended up dancing with, I just ended up dancing with T-Boy. Holy cow, I've never even met this guy. I just had this blast. And what? Did I just win? Oh, that's amazing. But even if you don't win, who
Right.
cares? You don't
Right.
care if you win. You're just so excited that you got a chance to have this experience with somebody you've never danced with before. The first year we did it, Jamal danced with Veronica blindfolded. What? And it's like, whoa, I pulled like to me, I was like, that right there, that excitement, that high, that is what will keep me coming back to a new event. So we took that idea, and my goal was I want everyone having this amazing experience through Jack and Jill's with some other dancer they've never danced with. And then guess what? You might just win. Now the competition isn't so pressured. So I felt it was the best way to kind of bring people that don't normally compete together and then make them want to be interested in that joy. So, when you go to an event, and there's that seriousness. We want to do that because we work hard. You have your students. They're going to work hard to do well. But I want to make sure everyone is catered to. I want to make sure those people that are just coming to do workshops and social dance get a chance to have fun. So that's, I feel, is kind of the secret sauce for LA Hustle Congress is we're blending people that already have pro partners together with people that don't have pro partners together, allowing them to dance, have fun, and on top of that, maybe compete with somebody they've never danced with in a fun situation with the shield connected to a
Right.
partner and the musical chair event we do. So it's all about bringing a high level of fun, balanced with competition, and then the educational part is so everybody learns something. So I
Right.
think that's kind of like our secret formula. And we're always looking at ways to do that better and to grow it. And, I really want to bring the hustle world. It doesn't matter which style of hustle you do. You love
Right.
the dance. So how do we all come together? And I think that's the other thing too, is we unite everyone.
Well, you asked something too about at the end of that, doing new things and things like that. I believe, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys kind of have a suggestion box, like you have, like, like how did we do? Like, are you doing that, or I thought I saw that where you have,
Uh,
asking people for their input on the event and
oh,
what.
absolutely. Absolutely. We have a comment box. We do a survey. And, we do those surveys because the people that have a blast, they are the ones who are usually not commenting. Like you do a
Right.
survey, the people that have a blast, they comment, but they're good because they don't have much to say. Usually the people that come back is the people that got something to say. Hey, I don't like this and I don't like that. Man, I've heard it. I've heard it. I've heard I've heard oh Shay, you should be doing this better. You did this, you were unorganized, you didn't know what you were doing. This is my third, fourth year. This will be my fourth year in. And I'm not trying to be anything more than a dancer who has a high love for the dance and wants to see everybody
Yeah.
have the same amount of fun that I do. So we go from there, but yet we want it to be structured. Structure is important. Organization is important. We want to have a system that's much better than the systems that currently lend to people getting frustrated. So that's why we do that, and I'm the one who usually goes over those comments. I look at them and I go, okay, this guy's got a point. This guy's a little upset, but still, how can we acclimate something that he said to make our process better? So we
Yeah.
do that. And I know why, and now I know why events don't do it. After doing it, I go, now I know why nobody does it.
Like,
I
oh,
get it.
why did I
That,
leave that?
oh yeah. Oh yeah, man, you gotta be ready. It just feels like what is it, the pie? When they used to go to the fair and they throw the pies in your face.
Oh,
That's what I felt like. I'm just sitting on the chair, just waiting for
yeah.
those pies to hit.
Right. Right. But but the lesson here is, one, when you get beyond the emotion of it, like being fixed in and looking at the real issue,
Right.
like, okay, like you said, the person may be upset or bothered in their tone, but they have a point. And so if you take that and you make a change for it, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that's what
awesome.
we do.
And a lot of, I mean, I was on the Congress circuit for about a dozen years, and there were a lot of events that they stayed the same every year, didn't make any changes, and sometimes they got worse, and
Yeah.
nothing changes. It becomes an event that you don't even want to go to anymore. But there was a difference between 22 and 2023 I know because I was there.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah,
And I see that you were listening.
yeah,
In my opinion, oh, okay. So Shay's listening to some of this stuff. It's not perfect. You know,
yeah,
in a perfect world, everything would be perfect, but it's not. There were some snafus here and there, but I
yeah.
think all in all, it was a wonderful event, and I loved it. And
Thank you.
all I ever think of saying is, don't you dare stop.
Yeah,
That's really for the community at large. It helps in a lot of ways too because you help to serve the Asian community because coming from Asia to the United States, if they have to go to New York, it's even harder, or
yeah,
anywhere else in the country. So the West Coast is perfect, and I saw the increase in attendance
yeah,
from the Asian folks from 2022 to, I mean, there must have been about 3 people, and most
yeah,
of them were younger folks. Most of them could dance good to excellent. It really, really helped to shape the pleasure of being at your event. And I
yeah.
think that I see that for the future, that's going to happen as well. You know,
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
see that.
it's so important, and I mean, hustle is all over the world, and it's so important that the U.S. sees it, that we all see it. So, whatever we can, and then plus hustle, we're always working to make a more structured program for hustle, and that's the thing, there's not that many hustle events, not like salsa, not like ballroom. So you have all these examples, but for
Right.
hustle, we have a smaller pool. So I look at every event, if it's a swing event, if it's a salsa event, if it's a ballroom event, what can we learn? How can we bring it into our process? How can we stick out and how can we be different? How can we be better? This year, we're going to have a pre-party on Wednesday is the plan. And then starting early on Thursday, because we want more social dancing time. So
Right.
we have to partner more social dancing time. Now we finally got a program that is on point. That's going to keep
Damn,
us on point.
I had to try and get there by Wednesday. Like,
Like
oh,
we,
you know, eat it all
we
up,
want, yeah, it's like, it's how can we make it better? And it's always, how can I make it better? And who can we learn from? Who's doing this really well? How are we
Right.
going to do this better with scoring? How are we going to do this better with scheduling? And scheduling is always a beast. Things happen. We had so many, oh, Shay, we want the social dance more. Well, we thought we had this in the schedule. This wasn't the schedule. Our time changed, room changed, this changed. Like events, you can plan those things out 100% and it all changes. The day of you get there, this happened, this person, it's such a huge teamwork. And it's all about, I'm learning more and more. It's all about your team. It's got to have a great team. And I'm a
Yes.
Mr. You see me in 2019 for where I grew in 2023 was I'm a Mr. I will do it all. I want to know the hands program. I want to know the MC. I will DJ it. 2019, I MC my own event. I was helping out with the scoring. I was the man everywhere. Every picture you see me in the background. Like
Right.
they're like, hey, there's MC, there's Shay. There's the awards, there's Shay. There's the DJ, there's Shay. There's a bathroom, there's Shay. Like I'm everywhere. They're like, I was trying. I was trying to
Right.
do everything. And they were just like, Shay, just let it go because I wanted everything to be perfect. So you got to have a great team. And
Right.
that's what's happening every day. We're putting, together better teams. So,
Well, speaking of teams, I wanted to ask you about, well, like, what is LA Hustle Movement, and what is its mission?
yeah. So LA Hustle Movement, our main movement is all about providing venues to dance at, places of where to learn, and a community to feel comfortable with hustle dancing. So the
Mm.
whole goal for LA Hustle Movement was to be an entity that stuck out. Like you have all of these salsa dance companies, you have these ballroom and Latin companies. It was to be a movement that stuck out to say, hey, we're not just a dance that needs all these other dances to survive. We can just be a hustle dance. And we are going to focus on all of the places within the city that have anything to do with hustle. We want to put it. But we ran into an issue with, okay, well, Shay, if you're going to list it, then all of these places have to operate and work at the same type of an integrity. So we ran into some issues with certain places not operating how the other ones wanted. So we stopped putting them on the site. So we can't say we have all of Hustle in LA. What we do is we put all the places that we feel I can handle the negative reviews for. I can handle the feedback or the blowback. The stuff that I can't handle the blowback on or the feedback on, and we didn't put it. But that's what LA Hustle Movement was. And pretty much now, everything with the social media. So pretty much now, everything for Hustle, Facebook, Instagram, like we're getting so little hits on the website that pretty much the website's going to come down because it's not serving the purpose as what's happening with Instagram, Facebook, social media, and these other places.
Right.
So, yeah, so LA Hustle Movement is just supposed to be a source for all of the stuff that's hustle. And, you know,
Nice.
Facebook groups has Hustle Haven't another great source. Hustle It Up. There's some other groups on Facebook, but we want to try to get a full social community and support Hustle in Southern California. So everything that's
Nice.
happening in San Diego, everything that's happening in Orange County and LA, those tend to be the three main places in SoCal. Bakersfield is a little further north, but for legitimate hustle, we start to think of LA, Orange County, San Diego, and surrounding areas.
I see. And you guys sponsor or help sponsor events that are solely hustle or part hustle?
Correct. Yeah, if there's socials, we want to help provide. We will help with, hey, these are teachers that we recommend. If they can get me, great. If not, these are people that we would get. Hey, do you need somebody that's a great DJ? We recommend. So it's more kind of just to try to help facilitate more hustle growth.
I see. So like a kind of like a little clear.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I have when I think about the movement now, right now, we want to create more, but my responsibility is so my responsibility is overwhelmed because I teach a lot. I'm teaching a lot. I'm promoting a lot. Now I'm traveling a lot. So now it's all about finding people that can help me do that mission. So it's not all. So this responsibility is not falling on me.
Sure. Yeah, I can see how that would be pretty tough to manage, especially when your schedule's something more full with all the
Yeah,
different things that you do, because it's not just teaching. It's not just having an event, performing. And I know that you're sticking your toe into and other
yeah.
things. And then you have a life. You
That,
got kids.
right.
You
Thank you. Like
partners. And
you hit it. A lot of people have no idea. They have no clue. Thank God, Serena, my partner, my girlfriend, she knows what I go through. But I have my kids four times a week. So it's from kids, from work, from promotion. I get auditions, and the auditions are like, Shay, we need this in literally in 2 days. You have to 5 pages memorize. You have to self tape it, which means I got to find somebody who's going to get on the other end, self tape for me, hopefully virtually. If I can't, I got to create something else, go into office. Then on top of that, I'm teaching in 3 different places. So from the teaching, from the acting, from the kids, giving them the time that they deserve, from promotion, from me staying in shape, my furthering of my training. I do
and
vocal stuff. I sing. It's a lot.
right? And then the Serenas. Yeah, right? It's
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. And then yes, and then with her, and then Serena is a very efficient when it comes to organization and putting teams together. She's one of the best. And so
Mm.
she's also helping to infiltrate hustle into her community. So with helping her as well, and San Diego's hustle community is growing, and then here we are. We're now finally in Vegas. We have a hustle squad in Vegas. So we're going to be bringing hustle to one of the largest salsa and bachata events in the country. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
You mentioned something. I was going to put it up as you now. My question is, do you have a fitness that keeps you in shape and condition? Because you look
Well,
great, so you must have something.
I'm in the gym. Usually, I mean, it used to be standard 3 to 4 days a week. So now it's more of 2 to 3 days a week, but when I'm in the gym, I'm in there 2 to 2.5 hours. So 2 to 2.5 hours in the gym. I do a lot of conditioning, I do cardio, lots of stretching. I have to stay very flexible on my splits for the work. And just because my body's gotten so used to being this way, it's hard for me not to be this way and feel the way that I feel, to have the endurance and to have the strength to do all the things that I want to do. So that's pretty much I hardly eat any meat, very little meat. I try to eat as fresh as possible. I have a pretty strong, and luckily I'm not one of those people that's just like all greens, all veggies. I love vegetables. I do salads, not as much as probably I should, and that's only because of where I eat them at. So, but I do love salads. But I have a very strong fresh diet. I eat very fresh, non-GMO. I try to stay as organic as possible. I'm very cautious about what I put in my body, and I work that hard, so I am able to splurge. I have a sweet
Yeah.
tooth, so I got it from my mom. My mom used to bake cakes all the time, so I don't like candy or stuff like that. If somebody's got a bakery, though, I'm there. We got a bakery, I'm
On.
there. That's right. And I portion myself. I get my little bit, and I'm good. But yeah, I have a very serious fitness lifestyle.
No, that's good because when you say strength, endurance, stamina, those are the three keys. Physicality, and then when you toss in lifestyle with eating and hopefully rest and mindfulness,
Yeah,
you have the complete package. And that keeps you going regardless of what the rigors you have during the day or week or month.
yeah.
That's good. What different, if at all, is your hustle day?
Oh, it's changed. It's changed. I mean, for Ralphie knows, one of the beautiful things that he told me is that he said, I've gone so deep. He's like, man, you are putting so much in your hustle, so many styles of dance, because I was a street dancer, because I was an athlete, right? I was a major, played high school varsity ball, played a little bit of community college basketball. So I have an athleticism to my movement that is very athletic. So you couple that with ballet and the contemporary and hip hop and all of those influences. And then, I was trained in all ballroom and Latin. So I try to put everything in that fits. And I have to do it because I'm just a very creative individual. I have a hard time doing the same thing all the time. I have a very hard time. So I'm always looking for ways to innovate, dance, change based on who I dance with. And so I think my biggest change is I've gotten better with blending and bringing more to the dance. And then on the top of that too, because I also played music. I played music. I played soprano, alto saxophone. I played double note clarinet and flute. I played piano when I was in college. So in college, I was a music major. So I have a very strong affinity for music.
Great.
So how I want to express the music, how I want to create to what I'm hearing in the backbeats and the percussion and and the melody, and the instruments. I know phrasing, I know music extremely well because of the music theory that I took. And I had no idea that it was just kind of being married with my dance as I was growing to become a dancer. So musicality is a very important thing for me and paying and giving the music the attention it deserves. So I think I've just gotten better with connecting all those dots as I dance on the fly. And as I train, it's affected how I train. But nothing goes without all of that technique and foundation that I got from them. It starts there, and everything has been built on top.
Yeah, I have to say that from you live, shooting you live, or watching videos of you, advancing socially. The one thing you did mention is also your partner, which I know you do. You take into account your. It's a beautiful thing to watch. A case in point, that clip that I posted recently with you and your live.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's just beautiful. All the different elements that you brought into that particular song, which has some smooth, even though it was rhythmic, it has that smoothness to it. and you really incorporated all smooth, elongated line movement with Yolanda. And I think that you're dancing with your partner requires them to break out
Yeah.
that they may only do. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
to
Oh,
you.
thank you. Yeah. And I think that was the first
Yeah.
time I danced with Yolanda. That was our first time dancing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a joy to watch, and she was like, you could tell at the end of the video how happy she
Oh,
was,
she's great. She's so
Yeah,
talented. She's so freaking talented. And it's there. She's one of those people who just got it. I mean, you got a person like that, it's like a playground. It's like, oh, where are we gonna go? Let's go down the slide. Hey, where are we gonna
right,
go? Let's get on the swing set. Like it's, hey, let's jump on this harmony. Do you hear this repeating melody? Let's jump
right,
on it. Let's create this fun and hustle. You
right.
know?
And
We're
you did
looking at
it impeccably. There was these moments that everything dropped, but this part of the melody, it was vocalizations that spoke
yeah, yeah, yeah.
physically,
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, yeah,
yeah. You just want to be there. I want to go. When I hear music, I want to go to that place where they're describing what they're doing. It's almost like I conceptually visualize any song. They're describing something. They're telling a story. All the songs are telling a story.
right.
And so it's like, how do I get a chance to go there? And I feel like I start coloring it in my mind. What does this look like? What is the singer doing when she does this? When they're talking about this, what does that feel like to me? And now I
Hmm.
want my partner to feel that. How do I get my partner to feel? Look, 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 you hear this? And when they catch it, it's like, oh, this is fun. You just caught that same thing I caught.
Right.
I feel like now we're not just dancing, we're experiencing, we're just creating. We're creating together.
Yeah, yeah. Even when there was that I had of you and T-Boy, and you were leading T-Boy, and then I don't know who came first, but one of you two started, popping and locking, and then
Oh, heck yeah.
so you both in your hustle, you
Yeah,
know, came out of it and stuff. So it was, like we want to look at the entire spectrum of the dance and all the other
yeah,
dances are incorporating in it. And it's just, yeah, it's very playful and it's very fun
yeah,
to
yeah.
watch. For me, at least half of it, if not more, is the joy of watching all of you. Like, the shooting
Oh,
for
that's
me is,
awesome.
is incredibly joyful. So I'm there with a big, sure, I have a big old, a Joker smile on my face, and
Yeah,
people like you who emote certain things that are going on either in the music or something in your past that is being
yeah,
presented in the moment.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Hustle dancing has grown on the West Coast. But what do you think contributed to the growth post?
Post COVID, that was tough because I think it was all going up, especially coming after the first LA Hustle Congress. That was in 2019. It just really was we were just really getting a lot happening. And COVID, man, hit the brakes hard. So it ramping back up, I think everybody was ready to just kind of come back and dance. I think people were just like, oh my God, we can finally get out. We can finally dance again. But it started quickly and then trickled because everybody's work situation changed. So I think one of the things that's helping post COVID is more people were stepping up wanting to teach the dance. More people were stepping up wanting to show the dance. And I have to give that credit to I would say a lot of the millennials that had known the dance and been taking class for a while. They wanted to start teaching in some of their areas. So that helped it a lot, because it did. Within the studio atmosphere, it dropped a little bit, and I think there was a disconnect just because there's still not as many places to dance in LA hustle. There's a few, and we're getting there. It's not like New York. It is just not. It's just not. There's no
Right,
place like New York when it comes to the availability of being able to go out and just throw down hustle dance and have other hustle dancers there.
right,
So, when I look at the spectrum, I feel LA is definitely one of the top hustle communities, but it's still spread out, still a little spread out, and we still have a lot of mixing with the older generation and younger generation that needs to just become a little more fresh, a little more. It just needs to happen more frequently with more like support on both sides. Because that was the thing as well, was the older generation dancers mixing with the younger generation dancers. What did that dynamic look like? And that was an issue. And as we learned how to kind of come over it, and we want everyone to just be comfortable and have a blast.
Right.
So post COVID, I think it was just more people coming out and trying to help teach the dance, and that's what's contributing to the growth.
I think we ranked because for me, I have a list of questions, and we've been bouncing down from my list, which is fine. Because from our conversation,
Yeah. Part two.
sparks, it sparks what we're talking about. But one of the things I wanted to ask you is, what do you think was your biggest hurdle in Latin hustle, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, not being from New York,
Really?
that was big. That was big. That was big. And then plus, I was a nobody. I was a nobody. I was 100%. I was prime nobody. Showed up to IHSC. Who the hell is this kid? What does he
Right.
think he's doing?
Right.
He's a nobody. You don't know hustle. Where do you dance? Well, nowhere. Dance in the studio. What do you know about hustle? They had no idea. I've been watching videos while they were asleep. My butt was up practicing. I was stretching. I was in class at midnight. Ralphie's closing the studio, and I'm still in the ballet studio, working on double tours, working on pirouettes, working on my frame. I was that kid, especially when we started getting into lift work. That's another gold nugget I got from Ralphie, was artistry of lifting. While people were at socials and stuff, I'm working with my partner on, gosh, how does this lead feel? How does this lead feel? How do we make this perfect? How do we slow all of this down? Why can't we do it slow? Okay, I'm watching these videos. And then I think a lot of them not knowing that some of the New York greats all worked with me. I wasn't from New York, but every time Artie saw me, he pulled me aside. Artie, 100% love. Maria gave me 100% love. Donna D. Simone, 100% love. Definitely from Philly, Daniel Jameson, 100% love. Like a lot of love. And eventually everybody started to catch on. It was almost like, is this kid serious? And then finally I got to the point to where they had no choice but to see me. I started competing on the world stage, and I started competing for the world championships early. And they were like, okay, we have to respect this kid, even though he's not dancing in New York. So
Right.
I think that was it. Not being from New York, not being part of the crew. That was tough.
And so you overcame it by just sticking with it, with all the focus that you admire?
No matter what they said, it was. I think it came down to the point to where I was like, I'm gonna learn everybody's moves, and I'm gonna do it better than every single one of them. I'm gonna learn all your moves. I'm gonna do it better than you. I'm gonna
Wow.
outdance you doing this stuff. And then finally got to the point to, and then plus, I was a nice guy. I'm not a prick. I'm not going to be like, yeah, well, screw you. I don't care what you think about me. I wasn't doing any of that. I was just like, thank you. Thank you for showing me. Thank you for, and I think they saw that. And then finally, I think that's when it turned into like a love. It turned into like, oh my gosh, I want to see what he's got to say. I want to see what he's going to do this time.
Right.
My workshops went from like hardly any people, and then they were finally starting to get packed. And it wasn't like, oh, he finally figured it out. I've always had this. I've always been teaching. I've always had these people pouring into me. I just had to go through the hard knocks. I had to go through the doubters, and finally, I pushed through, and it was great. And I wasn't like,
Yeah.
see, I told you. I was more like, well, thank you. Yeah, take that. Take this,
Right.
quadruple pirouette.
Boom.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So,
Right.
yeah,
Like,
so that, yeah, exactly. So,
right. Well, that being said, what is your number one advice for hustle leaders, and why?
I think for all of them, one is to stay hungry, for the dance. Don't get tired of it. Don't let yourself get stagnant. Always be creating. look at everything to create from. Look at every dance style. Look at what you do. How can we make it more efficient? Look at making the teaching efficient. Look at ways of developing structure to grow the dance. I think for leaders, again, Hustle, we have one of the smaller, we don't have the largest social group. We're not like salsa, bachata, and all these other places that have, hundreds of people that want to move their bodies sexy and all kinds of stuff. We have a very strong, loving community that are diehards. So I think it's important that you develop structure to everything that you're teaching. You constantly create. You constantly go outside of the box, and we're constantly finding ways to touch more people. Constantly finding ways to show the dance. People have seen the dance, and they still don't know how amazing it is. We have the most electrifying dance. I tell people nonstop. You go into any social, you can put 3 social rooms. You give me 200 hustle dancers, 200 salsa dancers, 200 bachata dancers, 200 swing dancers. You go into the room and see which one's the most electric. Hustle every single time. The way we spin and travel, the way we move and travels, the way the movement and just the energy and the pulsation of the beat. There's nothing like it. We have one of the most attractive social dances. Now, it might not be as intentionally sexy looking as a bachata or sensual bachata, but that's not what it's about. It's about the movement. It's about bodies in motion into music, into pulse. So I think it needs to constantly be displayed. We need more videos on YouTube, more of what you're doing. We need more. We need more of hustle being done. And the reason why is because that's going to lead to a beautiful growth for all the generations. We need TikTok. We need more hustle stuff on TikTok. It is going to lead to multi-generational growth. Always. Exposure. It's all about the exposure. Bigger places. And for the teachers not doing the same thing the same way for the past 30 years. Get out of the box. Find it. Reinvent it. Make it better. Make it more. Yeah.
Is a solid statement right there. We're doing the same to make it more, electric.
Yeah.
I
how can we color it?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're near the end, but not.
Yeah.
One question: where do you see Latin hustle going in the near?
I would love to see more congresses. I see Latin hustle being integrated with other dances. Salsa has a great opportunity. Swing music. Yes, we share the same. We tend to share a lot of the same music, but they have a love of wanting to travel and move. So they like that energy because it's so different. So anywhere to where we can cross over and get more people to dance, I see it more in street dancing by far. My gosh, I was a popper and locker. If I would have seen hustle at my day, or house dancing, man, these guys at the clubs, it should be #1 club dance. Hello, club. That's the music they're playing. So I feel like it should be integrated with any place to where our dance can live on the same platform. I don't like it being under other platforms, but it's got to start somewhere. So I get that. But I see the dance growing a lot more internationally as well. So a lot more internationally. I feel like these European countries, these Asian countries, they're really going to help this dance get to the next level because they have a high interest and a high love for it.
One of the questions that every guest is presented with is one that I'm coming now. What is Latin hustle to you? And give me your thoughts on that. Feel about it. What is Latin hustle?
Oh my gosh, Latin hustle. I feel Latin hustle is a true expression of. I feel like it's the most raw expression of dance and movement to pulsating music. Any type of music that has a pulse, I feel like Latin hustle is the expression of it. When we think of beats, we think of movement. And a dance that allows you to travel and have freedom. I feel hustle has, for me, been my life. A lot of people go, oh, you do these different dances. 80% to 90% of my clients are all hustle dancers. I'm teaching 20 to 30 hours of hustle every week, including group classes, socials, for years. So hustle has been my life. It has been where I've made my money. It has been what has helped to support me, support my family. So Latin hustle has a very strong place with me and being in my heart. And because I took this dance and tried to make it what it is, I took this dance from being some kid who was supposed to be in music, basketball, and I went in a ballroom studio and then fell in love with hustle and salsa. I still teach. I teach salsa as well, but hustle has because hustle needs it. Hustle needs me. It needs our attention. It needs that love that it had from before. So it has been my life. And so Latin hustle has a very special place with me. And I think it is the true, most raw expression to the music that we can do with our bodies. With a partner. The next
Right.
expression would be street dancers,
Right.
right?
Right.
Street dancers
Yes.
are the next most raw movement that we can do to dance because they're interpreting the music with their bodies without instruction. I mean, now they have instruction, but back in my day, there was no instruction for that stuff. You just did it, or you watched Michael Jackson. You watched who was on TV. Watched, what was it, Beach Street, and, Electric Boogaloo, Breaking One. We watched that stuff that came out of LA and New York. That was raw. That was street dancing to us. So if you were to put it together with a partner and then the sophistication of where it is, the fact that we made it into ballrooms, competitions, arenas, made it into these places that got some of the top dancers, the fact that it was a star search and it was a dance style that beat everything. Come
Right.
on. Like, wow. It beat everything. All the other dances, they
Good
beat
point.
it. It
Right.
beat all other dance styles, man. Hustle from the streets. I mean, God, I love it. His story is
Yes,
amazing.
it is.
It's
It is an
amazing.
amazing story. And the journey of hustle has definitely had and down, right in and up right now. This resurgence, in my opinion, is
Yeah, yeah,
awesome. I hope that it remains for as long as we can do it. I think
yeah,
collectively we can, collectively as a community, as a family of dancers, that we can make, the Latin hustle really take head. You got to feed the dance,
yeah,
because
yeah,
so those
yeah.
are good words. I think that we're basically at the end. Before we go, any last thoughts or comments or anything you'd like to say before we go, even if
Um,
you know, uh, your anything like anything.
I mean, my main thing is just thank you for everyone's support. Thank you for doing this, Mike. This is so important. It doesn't matter what role we all play. We just play some type of role based on our sphere of influence with the people that are around us. And hopefully this hits some ears. Hopefully it piques more interest for hustle. I thank you for all the people that supports the Congress who supported I take the hit. The Congress who supported there's a few sponsors, but by me, my pockets.
Right.
So it's a huge endeavor. It's larger than life. And just the fact that you guys decided to show up and come, it's an humbles me. I thank God to even be at a place to do something like this. So yeah, please just keep dancing, keep supporting hustle. Hustle is precious. Our community is small, but it's growing, and we need all of you. We need all of you to take a personal stake, support hustle in your community. Anybody that's there, support Mike, support anybody doing anything with hustle because it's laid in their hearts to take their time and sacrifice for this dance that came from the streets, man. I mean,
Came from the
it's
streets.
beautiful.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It is beautiful, and it's people like you who really are being profiled. Videos and at the event who who we see the love that you because you represent the dance what you're doing, your style and your efforts, and shines through, and it's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing. So at this point, I'm going to say, folks, for those of you who have been watching, stayed with us throughout this conversational journey, but sticking with us, please like, share with everyone, and don't forget to subscribe. notification bell so you know every episode or every video that comes out. I want to give a huge and big thanks to you, Shay Dixon, for
Awesome.
taking the time out at Starbucks
Yeah.
so that we can on move and let
Yeah.
people know who Shay is. You know, a little bit of you that we.
Yeah.
Very grateful. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And remember LA Hustle Congress, October 31st to November 3rd. Be there. Remember my ABCs of Hustle. And much love to you guys.
Hey, Mike Bello here in the M123 studio with the Let's Talk Hustle podcast. I want to give a quick shout out to New Circle Films, who were so gracious to sponsor me with product, especially this particular boom arm for the microphone, as well as some lighting. So yeah, it's really helped to give a greater look to the podcast. So thank you, New Circle Films. And of course, the other shout out, tongue in cheek to M123 because the podcast is residing in the M123 channel. So that's it, folks. See you in the next video.